And I honestly didn't think so many people were going to watch my Codependence Anonymous video. And I'm so happy that they did, and they provided feedback, allowed me to have an open mind enough to go back to some of the 12-step programs and come out with an evolved perspective. Hey guys, this is Coach KP, and today I'm here to talk to you about 12-step programs. Now, I made a video about Codependence Anonymous program that I attended for a year and my reflections on it, and that generated a lot of dialogue amongst people that were going into 12-step programs and people that wanted to go into 12-step programs. And you know, in that video, some people did not like my thoughts on why I didn't continue with the 12-step Codependence Anonymous program. And that was fine. That there was a lot of dialogue that generated that had me reflecting all this time about 12-step programs and addiction and how we can help people get better without getting them hooked to a program or without necessarily calling themselves an addict for the rest of their lives. So what was happening was I was looking at all these comments and I was internalizing some of it, trying to process, you know, what does it mean to have such a strong view on that particular 12-step program. You know, I always like to analyze my thoughts, and I did that. I decided I was actually going to go back and visit some of these 12-step programs in the area and see if my thought process actually changes about these programs. So what I did was I went to a few Alcoholics Anonymous programs. All of these are open meetings. Open meetings meaning anyone can go visit. You don't need to be addicted or identify as an addict to go to these programs. So I went to a few of the Alcoholics Anonymous program in the area. Then I went to a few Narcotics Anonymous programs in the area with an intention to, you know what, maybe not all programs are run the same way, even though the structure is the same. Maybe the demographics, maybe the people that go to these meetings makes an actual difference and makes a program different from another one. So I did that, and you know, I think I have a more evolved perspective on 12-step programs in general today than I did when I made that video on Codependence Anonymous. Now, I will say that I still do not like the idea of addiction as a lifelong disease. That's my personal view. I don't expect anybody else to have that same ideology based on this video or my last video. I'm not trying to prescribe that ideology to people. It's just my beliefs. It's very important for me to say that because 12-step programs have been serving a large population for a long time. So they are obviously doing some things right. Now, let's talk a little bit more about my evolved perspective. When you go into a 12-step program, folks that go into a 12-step program, they have an addiction towards a substance. So anybody that goes to an Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, or a process, codependency, Al-Anon, even though it's not strictly a disease like codependency, but there could be a lot of codependent patterns that adult children of alcoholics can develop. So it's a process addiction. So whether it's substance, whether it's process, when you go into these 12-step programs, you're getting three things that you hadn't found before. And I think those three things are very important for recovery. And I find time and time again that these 12-step programs, no matter where you go, they are serving these three areas for people, and that is contributing to therapeutic change for people. All right, so the first area of change that I found was there is a sense of belonging, a sense of community that these 12-step programs are providing. Imagine somebody being addicted to a substance. Our society still ostracizes addicts, right? People that are addicted don't get looked upon as someone that is fit to be in a society. Now that depends on the levels of addiction, but most people that are addicted and to a drug, unfortunately, get ostracized. At 12-step, at the AA NA Codependence Anonymous, people that have addiction issues find a community. There are like-minded people that are going through the same struggles that you are going through, or I am going through if I'm going there, attending meetings regularly. That, in and of itself, is huge for today's society that is super, super individualistic, especially in America. We are very ruggedly individual here, right? So a sense of community has been missing for the last 100 years. You go into a program like that, you find a sense of community, and that helps you come out of addiction. That's a part of the process. Now, of course, the second thing out of the program, out of the 12 steps, is you learn coping mechanisms that are healthier. You learn to cope with stress. Okay, these programs are providing you a platform, providing you these steps that you follow in order to have healthier coping mechanism. You start taking better care of yourself. You start to have strong boundaries. Once you go into the program for extended period of time, these things get taught. These things get taught in the program as a form of steps. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on all the steps, all the 12 steps of the 12-step program, but I will say that having boundaries is a huge part of any of the 12-step programs. So, coping mechanisms, self-care, right? All of a sudden, this person that wasn't taking care of themselves is now trying to eat better, trying to have healthier relationship, trying to say no to things that are not serving them anymore. And that's huge for people that have been addicted, have been neglecting their own needs. That can be a huge deal. So coping mechanisms, healthier coping mechanisms, helps you become better, helps you recover from addiction. And that is the second part of the equation. Now, the third part of the equation is, and I believe arguably this is probably the biggest part of the equation, is that people find a spiritual purpose. People find spirituality that wasn't there in their lives before. And I will say that most of today's society is missing that sense of spiritual connection with God or with their higher power. Now, when you find spirituality, when you find some sense of a higher power, you are more attuned to now think about your purpose. Why am I here as a spiritual being? When you start to think of your purpose as a spiritual being, why you are here in this planet, now your thought process is shifting away from, oh, I'm an addict. Even though you admit over and over and over again in these programs that you are an addict, that's a part of the litany, the lingo that gets used in the 12-step programs, and that's what I wasn't really a big fan of when I made that video about Codependence Anonymous and why I didn't think I was going to join the program again, is because I failed to see that it doesn't matter whether you call yourself an addict or not, when you go in outside of these meetings, but when you go into these meetings, that is what is expected of you. Because that is considered, admitting the fact that you are an addict is considered to be important for recovery within that framework. So for me to go into that program, if I want to speak or share something, for me to go there and say that, hey, I'm XYZ, I'm an addict, it's me showing respect to the people around me, respect to the fact that I was powerless over addiction at one point in my life, and the respect to the literature of the program. That is what I failed to see. And now I see that. Because at the end of the day, there is no perfect program. You go to a detox program, you have 12 things to complain about. But you know what? If the program works for you, it works for you. You do you. Right? And that's what I've learned to realize going back to some of these 12-step meetings. And I am very happy that I was able to do that. And I thank all of my viewers from that other video, constantly sending me messages, watching my video. And I honestly didn't think so many people were going to watch my Codependence Anonymous video. And I'm so happy that they did, and they provided feedback, allowed me to have an open mind enough to go back to some of the 12-step programs and come out with an evolved perspective. It works if you work it. Work it, you're worth it. If you've been going to a 12-step program, if it has been working for you, awesome. Keep doing what you're doing, because it doesn't matter what I as a viewer, I as an outsider, or even an insider think of your recovery. It shouldn't matter. You do you. And for those of us that do not like the 12-step model, that is valid as well, because there are many things that aren't perfect in that model. And if that does not resonate with you, there are a million things that you can do. You can go to individual therapy. You can go to group therapy. There are other recovery groups that are or are not spiritual in nature. You can go to those. And a lot of, if you live in a bigger city, there is going to be other programs to support you. So your recovery is more important than how you recover from addiction. That is very important. All right, this is Coach KP, and it's been real fun going on this journey, going into the CODA program for a year, earning my chip, not going back there again, and I've fully recovered from my codependent patterns. Even though I didn't go there for 12 years, I can say that without disrespecting the 12-step program. That's my journey. Your journey may be different. But having gone back to some of the open AA and NA meetings, I do have more of an appreciation of the 12-step model than I did before. All right? That's all I'm saying. Coach KP, peace.